Hello, this video will be about our electrical setup. Dad has been helping us with the electrical setup and the plumbing setup. The terminology can go over my head a bit, so I don't know if it'll go over anyone else's head, but those that understand and that are maybe in the process of learning about it, hopefully this video can help you. Yeah, my dad will kind of just talk through our setup and how we rigged it all up. So I hope you enjoy. So first things first, one of our first videos was our solar panel install. So we've got 2 solar panels and they are, let me get this right,
we've used 2
300 watts
305 watt C Sun A grade house panels, which operate on 36 volt instead of using caravan, what they call 12 volt panels, which only operate in the range around that 18-20 volt.
So why did we do that?
So why we did that is because these are more efficient by using the Victron MPPT controller. It basically brings the voltage down to the required battery voltage, but it increases the amps. So on a nice bright sunny day, we're actually generating up to, which was surprising, at the 12 volts up to 33, 34 amps when we were testing the system back at the workshop. And the other thing we've done is I've wired them in parallel because we can actually, we've parked the bus on purpose with one of the panels in complete sun, and we're still generating nearly 18 amps at 12 volts through the other panel. Where if we had done them in series, by putting one panel in the shade, you would be generating no power.
Let's go inside and talk about what we are powering with them. Dad wants to preface this video.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a licensed motor mechanic and have some experience with 12 volt wiring. This video is not a tutorial, it's just an overview of our system. And like I said, like we did, if I wasn't sure on something, I got professional advice to make sure that everything works smoothly.
Alright, now that you've prefaced that, let's get into it. So we didn't use anything fancy in terms of switches. I see some people have these, like, I mean, I think we were looking at them, like the dimmers and, like, I don't know, it's all fancy looking. We just have house switches. As I showed in the plumbing video, that's our water pump, this bottom switch here. And this top one here is this light above. So that's that, just that switch there. So if we're outside and then we need to use the toilet, we can just walk in, click that one on, so that's conveniently placed there. If we walk through this cooktop, I get a lot of questions about, because everyone's like, how can you have a 4-burner electric cooktop? The answer is we don't. We have a 2-burner, really, if we think about it. We can only use 2 at a time, to be honest. If we use 1 or 2, it's fine. It heats up the food really quickly, and we've had no other problems with it. So I think because we had ample space in terms of benchtop space, so we just thought the 2-burner kind of looked a bit out of proportion. So if I'm completely honest, it's just for aesthetics. It doesn't actually cook 4 things at the same time.
Well, in saying that, you can have all 4 running as long as you don't go over 2,400 watts.
Yeah, but you know, it takes the fun out of cooking when like someone's cooking and you're like, oh no, you're drawing too much. Like, anyway, so we'd rather
well, you'd know about it because you'll blow that main fuse.
So moving on to what else our setup powers. This is the fridge, the Vitrafigo fridge. And to be honest, we're really happy with this fridge. We've seen people on the road, I think Dometic fridges, Bushman's fridges, but we haven't actually ran into anyone that has a Vitrafigo, maybe because they can't pronounce it, Vitrafigo. I think a big reason we went with this fridge is because of the 17 litre capacity for freezer. We keep a lot of frozen fruit and veg and all that in there, so that was kind of a real big bonus. And it is really cold, so...
and the low current draw.
Yeah, and it has a low current draw, so really happy with this fridge and I recommend it. We'll see how it goes in 40-degree temperatures if we're in the outback. We'll keep you up to date with that, but we are really happy with this fridge. Talking about switches, just to kind of demonstrate what these ones are. So this is the water heater, so we just flick that on before we want to have a shower. That is for the main water pump, so we flick that on if we want to do the dishes and stuff like that.
Or have a shower.
Yeah, or have a shower. This top one here is for these 4 lights, so as you can see, and we also have these LED lights under here. If I just turn them on, so we have a little remote. So that's the brightest. You can go 100%, 50% or 25%, which is awesome. And it also has like party settings where it like flashes which we haven't felt the need to use yet, but who knows. So they are the LED lights, kind of helpful if we're cooking and stuff like that. So we don't have an aircon unit. We obviously have the aircon at the front of the bus, and we have this little vent here, which we've tried to kind of, if we're driving, to blow it. But yeah, it doesn't really last long in summer when you turn the bus off. So no, we don't have aircon. We have a max air fan. We've seen some people put 2 in actually that we've met on the road, and we thought that was actually kind of a good idea, like one sucking in, one sucking out, because it has that mechanism. One does the job. 2, I guess, would be a luxury, but we didn't have much space on the roof. As you saw, our solar panels are positioned in a certain way. We could kind of just fit one in between them. But yeah, we're pretty much running this all the time when we're stationed. Yeah, it seems to work quite well. 2 would probably be like a, ooh. In saying that though, we are in summer, so that's probably why we're feeling like we need 2. Alright, so we have 2 Sirocco fans, one at the back there, and then one here. A lot of people that do these bus conversions, van conversions, go with these fans. A few reasons. One, they have a really low
current draw.
Current draw. I couldn't think of the word. They have a low current draw. Secondly, they work really well. They really do actually cool you down. We have them on most of the time that we're stationed. Thirdly, they're really quiet. Like when we're sleeping, you can't really hear them. It's just kind of like a white noise. So that's great. I guess you could also say they are adjustable. Like obviously we use it when we're sleeping, but if we're sitting here, we can move it around, or if we're cooking. So we're honestly really happy that we went with them. And we're happy that we have 2. I feel like 1 might have not been enough. We have such a large space and we have only 1 max air fan. But yeah, we're really happy with the Sirocco fans. Alright, we also have this switch here at the back of the bed. This one here turns on, I can't film, but it basically turns on 2 LED lights above the bed, and then this one is the 2-way switch. As you can see, that turns those 4 on, and then you can turn them off there. So that's here at the back of the bed. Just lastly,
coffee machine.
Yeah, we have a coffee machine. We also have an air fryer that has its own seat. The seat belt, and we can only use 1 at a time. Obviously we learnt that the hard way, but we plug it into this power board here, which is plugged straight into the inverter, so nothing fancy with that. And also we charge our phones here, laptops, cameras, drone batteries, etc, etc. That's just what we use here.
This bus has basically been set up with no gas. It's just the whole system is 12 volt with a inverter, and with using 240 amp of lithium batteries. And so far the system seems to be working quite well. Plus we have rigged it up so it can be charged, like I said, through solar while the bus is running. It's got a DC to DC Enerdrive 50 amp charger.
Alright, don't get ahead of yourself now. We got to reveal things slowly, you know what I mean? So if we walk in, this is our Renogy battery monitor. As you can see, we're at 100%. The sun's out, and we just drove a little bit as well, so that charged it up a bit. And it's quite good. It kind of tells you how much is coming in or out. To be honest, we just really look at mostly at this number here, the 100%. In our test run trip, I would say that this never really got below maybe even 60%, 50%. Mind you, it's summer, so it was quite sunny, but there was like a few days there where it was just raining and overcast, but to be honest, we pretty much drove every day, so we weren't worried. I mean, look, maybe in winter and if we're stationed somewhere for a week, it'll be a different story with no sun, but the battery was pretty much always charged. Under this seat is where all our electrical...
Well, basically the from the solar panels, it runs into the circuit breaker, which I'm using as a disconnect just below the MPPT controller.
Okay, you're talking about this thing?
That there is a circuit breaker.
Okay.
And we're using it as a disconnect, so we can disconnect the panels from the whole system. And then I've basically tried to fuse or circuit break all the wiring. Well, especially with the MPP, it's actually got the panels can be disconnected, and the actual controller can be disconnected from the battery. And as you can see, there's also a master switch, which we can...
Is that this here?
Yeah, the blacks. Yeah. So that can disconnect the whole battery system, so we can, if the bus is either parked or there's a problem, you can isolate the batteries from the rest of the system.
Disclaimer, I'm probably going to refer back to this video when we're actually on the road, so this is like my own guide, so if there's probably too much information included, apologies for that. This is more for me to know what to do in certain circumstances. All right, moving on.
If you move across to the fuse block and just say,
this?
yeah, just an automotive fuse block. And basically what we've done is I've created, well, that can take 12 circuits. We're actually using currently 10 circuits. And each item, like lighting or the fridge or the fans or the Siroccos, they've each got their own circuit. We haven't finished, as you can see, and that's the
We need to
label things. That'll be done in an upcoming week or so. And that just gives you an idea of the which fuse controls which circuit. And then there's a series of circuit breakers which will be labelled. The first one is, like I said, is for the MPPT controller. So
Wasn't that one?
Yeah. Oh, no. So there's the in and that's the out. So I can disconnect the controller on both sides. And then the fuse beside it, the orange fuse, that is for the 240 volt charger, which is beside the MPP controller. It's a Victron unit, which is also
this one here.
Yeah. When you're at a caravan park, you can charge the batteries. That's the 240 volt. The thing about the Victron equipment is it's Bluetooth, so we don't even have to open the cupboard and we can control Bluetooth, and we can control the components and see what they're doing without having to take the cushions up.
So this is the Victron Connect app that we were talking about. Why is it saying 0 watts?
The panels are creating energy, but because the batteries are 100%, it's not charging.
So this is a good way to kind of just look what's coming in. If it wasn't charged, what would it be saying?
Well, a day like today, you would be seeing up to 500 watts, but because the batteries are not there in the float, they're fully charged, so it's not accepting any current. But it also has history to give you an idea of, it just gives you each day and tells you whether you've charged the batteries each day, how much you've consumed, or how much you've generated, how much energy you've generated. So it's quite informative.
So that is a good app to have, the Victron Connect.
Okay, the next circuit breaker along is
this one here.
The middle one, that's for the hot water unit, and the third circuit breaker is for the DC to DC charger, which is the Enerdrive unit, another Australian product. And there's also a circuit breaker on the actual bus battery, so it's been it can be isolated at the bus batteries, or it could be isolated here, which with that circuit breaker there, it has to convert 24 volt, which the bus runs on, down to 12 volt, and it can provide up to 50 amps, and it's pretty programmable, and so far it's been working fantastically.
Alright, so we have two 120 amp hour lithium batteries.
With lithium batteries, one of the big distinctions is its battery management system and how much current they allow to be drawn from the battery. These batteries, it's either 125 or 150 amp hour they can draw continuously, because we're running a 3000 watt Renogy Inverter.
We've had to cut out our cupboards around the inverter because it's basically like on a bracket on the back wall. So that is a Renogy 3000 watt inverter, and we have no complaints. You can switch it on and off there, or this thing here.
Remote switching.
The remote switch, we can switch it off then as well. So as I mentioned, this is kind of where all our electrical things are. Our inverter's just here. I know it looks all kind of confusing, but hopefully Dad has kind of talked through each point. Is there anything else that we've missed in this cupboard?
The only thing we've missed is not only do we have the master switch, but we've also put a 200 amp maxi fuse, which is in this holder here. So if there is any major overcurrent or short, well, basically hopefully that fuse will blow and disconnect the batteries and not cause any electrical fires. So the main focus is we've tried to have everything running conduits, and we've fused it as best, or circuit breakered everything, so we don't have any electrical fires.
So I think that is it for our electrical setup. We've just got to make a few little tweaks to the bus. I guess that was the point of a test run trip, to kind of see what works and what doesn't. And we just have a few little things. Well, actually it's a bit of a list, but we need to work through those things this week. Minor, yeah, of course minor. We could still go like this, but yeah, just for comfort and stuff like that, just a few little more additions. So I'll be filming that. That'll kind of be the next week's video, just kind of like our final touches. And then I will be doing, I guess, a full bus tour, although you've kind of seen a lot of it here, but I will film like a thorough bus tour. But if you have any electrical questions, leave them below and I'll refer them to my dad. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.